Hi, today's video is about what is probate and why does it matter. Probate is the legal process where debtors are figured out and they are paid, and any money that's left over gets distributed to the people that it should be distributed to. The main purpose of probate is to protect the debtors. That's being very honest. Some places won't necessarily tell you that, but the bottom line is they want to make sure that, okay, there's an estate that has money in it, and we want to make sure that anybody that is owed money is paid. Realistically, you may not care, but it is the fair and just thing, and it's what the court has set up in order to protect the debtors. The debtors could include the IRS, the mortgage company, work that was done on the house needs to be paid, the nursing home, hospitals, anybody that was involved in the end of they call it the decedent, but the person that passed away at the end of their life, there are bills to be paid, and the estate is supposed to pay those bills, and then any money left over gets distributed to the heirs or to the people that are supposed to get the money. We'll talk about why probate matters right after this legal disclaimer.
Legal disclaimer. I am not an attorney, nor am I pretty blonde, brunette, or redhead, non-legal representative like you see on late night TV, nor do I play an attorney on television or here on YouTube. What I am is a certified probate expert who is here to help you in any way that I can. Hopefully you will find my videos helpful, informative, and will help you through the process for you and your family. If you do find yourself in need of legal representation, I have several very nice, very knowledgeable, and very helpful, experienced attorneys who can help you through any problem during the probate process. Please feel free to reach out to me for any question whatsoever. I'm here to help you. And now, back to our video.
Welcome back. First, I want to mention about assets. There are a lot of people that will use the word assets, and it's not always a clear term to everybody what an asset is. Basically, an asset is anything of value that could be sold for money. We have to be careful, and that's why I highly recommend that you talk to a probate attorney, because as part of their process, they're going to make sure what is an asset, what is a debt, who's owed money. Another thing that's very important in finding out is, you're going to have debtors. Almost always there's debtors to the estate. Even if it's just credit cards or a car payment or something like that, there's going to be debtors. And you don't want to pay everybody. I know that sounds bad, but for example, you may have some unsecured debt, and you don't want to necessarily pay that right off the bat, because the attorney might be able to negotiate with the debtors, the unsecured debtors especially, and say, okay, we owe you X amount of money, but the estate is, the fellow's passed on, the person's passed on, and there's no income coming in, so there's a limited amount of resources here. So instead of paying you $1,000, would you be willing to accept $500 or whatever they negotiate? So a good attorney will be able to do that and could wind up helping the estate. No promises made, but it is one of the things that makes an attorney very important, is they're going to give you advice on what's an important debt. And not that all debts aren't important, but they're going to have you pause on paying off certain debts like that. Obviously, if there's a mortgage, that needs to be paid. The water bill, the electric bill, because you don't want the house to basically go to rot while things get figured out. So those things definitely need to be paid. But I would advise talking to an attorney and getting his advice always, or her advice. And I would highly recommend that always. So, most of them are available for a free consult. And what I would do is go loaded with a list of questions, utilize that 30 minutes and ask as many questions as possible. And you'll get a good feel for that attorney and whether they're going to be really helpful to you or they're, or they're not. So I recommend several attorneys, and but if you choose another one, always take my advice on that, to have a list of questions. Find out, do you have a free consultation, 30 minutes, whatever it may be, and then go armed with questions ahead of time. So that way you get the most out of that consultation that's beneficial to you.
Okay, now the part about why probate matters. Does it matter? Yes, and here's why. Say, for example, there's a house to be sold, or Uncle John has a 1955 Chevy Bel Air that has really good value. It's in mint condition. Well, if you receive that is an asset, is something of value, you now become liable for any debts that Uncle John has. So you get all excited because you get this prized possession of this 1955 Chevy Bel Air, and you're all excited, and say you think, well, I might keep it for a year or two and then I'll sell it, or I might just sell it now because it's mint condition. I can really make a pretty penny on it. Well, the bad thing is that because you received that, you are now considered responsible for the debts. So you definitely don't want to receive something and be responsible for a debt. So you want to make sure that all the debtors are taken care of. So the main debtors or creditors, you're going to be able to find them fairly easily, or should be able to find them. A bank statement will have money going out, whether it's in checks or automatic payments, for example, a mortgage payment, insurance, car payment, car insurance, HOA, extremely important because they could lien the house, IRS, obviously, but most of the creditors, that are on a regular basis, you're going to find them in the bank statement. If it's online, it might be a little more difficult because you'll have to go to the bank and you'll have to prove to the bank that you have need of that information, that you have the right to that information. So once you're appointed the personal representative, that's very, very easy because you get what's called letters of administration, and that armed with the death certificate, you can go walk into whatever bank and they'll give you the information that you need. But those are the known creditors. But because the court wants to make sure that all creditors are protected, there is, for formal administration in probate, because there are 4 types, and out of those 4 types, the main one that most people hear about and know about is formal administration. That's the one where you definitely want an attorney. The court's not going to want to have you come in there without an attorney, because we have close to 400, almost 500 probate cases every single month here in Palm Beach County. The court is not going to want somebody that doesn't know anything about the system and how things work to come in there and slow things down. They're going to want a knowledgeable attorney coming in there that is ready to go A, B, C, D and move that case along. Here in the Palm Beach County, things go pretty good, even with COVID going on. Most probate cases last anywhere from 4 to 12 months, 12 months being on the long side. There are exceptions to that. If things are contested, it could go longer, but I always encourage people to get along, because when there's contesting going on, that means there's attorneys involved, and they're the ones that are getting the lion's share of the money. The more money spent fighting, the more money that goes to attorneys and less money to the people that the money was originally intended to go to. So I always encourage to try to get along. As part of the probate process, you're going to file a notice to creditors, or the attorney will, and that basically goes out to unknown creditors, people you have no clue exist, and it gives them 90 days to find out about the passing and to make a claim. Now, legally, there is up to 2 years. After 2 years, nobody can make a claim. It's dead. No claims can be made. But for the probate process, the notice to creditor goes out. It needs to be sent out for 2 weeks, and it has to go to a local newspaper. Doesn't have to be a major newspaper. Doesn't have to be the Palm Beach Post, the Sun Sentinel, the Miami Herald. It just needs to be a local newspaper that is accepted by the court. I've seen corporations where they file and it has to, same kind of idea, it has to be a notice put in a paper, and it could be the Business Digest or something like that. It's a very limited readership. So it's not really about how many people are going to see it. It's about that you've done what's legally required, and that is to post it in an accepted local newspaper. So after that, you've got 90 days, and after that 90 days, which is basically taking you to 3 months. So that's why most probate cases won't go less than 4 months, because it needs to get past that period. And then you can celebrate that you got Uncle John's 1955 Chevy Bel Air, or the house, or whatever it may be. But you can breathe a sigh of relief and know that, okay, the creditors are past, and I can move on with life. So I hope you find this video helpful. The whole idea is that I explain things in very down-to-earth terms so that you know what you're up against. Probate is, it's a serious business, and there's lots of attorneys that can handle it. But I highly recommend somebody that is kind and knowledgeable. And the reason I say kind is because there will be times where things will need to be done, and a kind attorney will have the attitude of service, and he or she will make sure that things are done. Some attorneys, they're big firms, they may have 4 different people working on the case, and they'll quickly say, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. So I highly encourage going with a smaller attorney, firm. There are exceptions, but I've got a list of attorneys that I highly recommend that can help you in any situation. I hope you find this video useful and helpful, and stay tuned for the next video. See you soon.